So hopefully everyone's in the right spot. It's a rainy Saturday, but we're going to be learning about OneDrive today. I heard a few people were interested in the web apps, the versions of Office that are available for free through OneDrive, which are the Word web app and Excel web app and all that. So I'm going to be dabbling into that today as well. I guess I should introduce myself first. If you haven't been to one of our classes, my name is Derrick Wlodarz. I run a local technology support company and part of Park Ridge called FireLogic. We do small business support, residential support, we do computer repair for people, virus removal, the whole 9 yards. We do house calls. You can come to our office if you prefer. We're local, we do a good job. You know, we have quite a few customers that come to our classes regularly. Ruth's even a customer, so you can ask her about us if you're curious. And you can pick up one of our cards in the back if you're interested in using our services. We always offer a 10% library discount for first-time customers, so you can mention that if you call us. Some of our upcoming events that we have coming up, the schedule's a little bit light for the rest of the year because as we reach the holidays, we actually just moved into a new office and there's a lot that's going on with finishing that up for ourselves. So we're taking a little bit light through Christmas, but we are going to be doing Windows 8.1 for beginners in around Thanksgiving time. So if you've either got a new PC or you're going to be looking for a new computer, we're going to be teaching that, the ins and outs. It's one of our most popular classes. We usually fill the whole room up for the Windows 8 classes. So if you want to get in on that, definitely register yourself early so you can get a spot. We probably will be webcasting that class as well, so if you don't get a spot in the live class, you can watch it live from home that Saturday morning as well. And we also offer a free help desk event every first or second Saturday of the month at Park Ridge Library. It's a completely free event. It's at least one or two of us from our staff that's at the library on the 3rd floor, and you can come in with any light questions that you have. How do I do this on my iPad? How do I get in, do this in my email? How do I do this in Excel? So we'll answer all those kind of, functional questions or, how-to questions at that event. Completely free, doesn't cost you a thing, and we do that every single month.
3rd floor?
3rd floor of the Park Ridge Library, yeah.
And the second Saturday?
Second Saturday of every month. We are there. Okay? So come visit us. We're not going to remove malware from your computer. We're not going to upgrade Windows during a session like that. We're going to handle light questions that can be handled in a relatively quick manner. We usually have a long line of people, and we just don't have that much time to dedicate to each person. But the light stuff is definitely free at that event, and you can definitely come on by. So I already got a few questions about what we're going to be doing in this class, what we aren't going to be doing. I'm going to be teaching everyone the meat and the why and the how of how this OneDrive tool works. I'm not going to be doing a deep dive into how I use the iPad app. I'm not going to be diving into how to use the Windows Phone app. Those are all auxiliary functions of OneDrive. They come naturally once you learn how to use the main platform. I feel that the web browser version is the most powerful version of the product, or the one that's built into Windows 8, and all the other mobile apps follow along with that. So we're going to be showing off primarily how the web version works, how sharing works within there, and those concepts, which is the important part. Those concepts flow through to all the mobile apps. So if you learn all this here today and get a feel for how this works, the mobile side of it is going to come very naturally to you. So as such, everyone should have an agenda sheet. We've got a few different sections that we'll go through. Some of the things towards the end, some of the items in the advanced area we might have to cut off if time doesn't permit, but I'm hoping we can get to everything here today. Just depending on how time flows, how many questions we have. It's a little bit smaller crowd, so I will be willing to take questions as we go along. If you want to ask something small, if it's something longer that you know is going to take a longer time to answer, wait till the end of the Q&A time, or just wait until I start closing up shop and I can handle your needs one-on-one off the recording as well if you want. Okay, so definitely feel free to write your questions down on the agenda if necessary. I put some resources on the back of the agenda if you want to learn more about OneDrive once you leave here today. Again, I only have about, at this point, an hour and a half or so to get through everything I want to cover. There's a lot more to OneDrive than what we're covering here today, and there's some great resources like Microsoft's help centers that they have for OneDrive. There's an official YouTube channel just for OneDrive with how-to videos and all the new features that they're introducing. And of course, this is now our second class on OneDrive, so you can rewatch our first one and this one once it's live on YouTube as well, if you're interested. So a lot of good stuff out there. I was looking to see if there was any kind of cheat sheet I could have made. I like to do cheat sheets for these classes and hand them out to everyone, but there is no cheat sheet. The problem with this product is it moves and evolves so quickly that a cheat sheet would be out of date so fast. So that's why, you know, we try to run this class once every 2 quarters or so to get everyone up to speed with what the latest features are. So it's the purpose of why we're doing this here today. A quick note, actually, I've had some discussion with some people already before class about Windows XP. Both of these products, XP and Office 2003, are extinct at this point. They are not meant to be used on a daily basis. If you're still using systems running these 2 pieces of software, you are considered very high risk in terms of infections and attacks that the criminals are releasing. Make a long story short, Microsoft's not releasing any patches or updates or fixes for either of these 2 products, which means you are on your own, and they really mean that. So, you know, we've been helping a lot of customers get off of these products. The easiest way is just, you know, it's probably time to look for a new computer, either a new Windows 8 PC or a new Mac system, whatever it may be, even a Chromebook. A lot of customers are going with Chromebooks these days. But please don't stay on Windows XP any longer than you have to. It's a disaster waiting to happen. All right. OneDrive, actually, I used into making this class presentation here today. It's a screenshot from my March class that we did here at the library. But it is a very powerful tool. I use it quite a bit on my day-to-day computer. This is a Windows 8 machine, and I have my OneDrive account tied into it, which means I'm doing cloud storage as I go along, and I'm going to go over some of those features and how that functions with you. But again, the same concepts apply to the iPads, to the different tablets that are out there, to the smartphones. So, you know, I want to get you comfortable with this notion of cloud storage. It's not as scary as a lot of people make it out to be. I know the news has a lot of, you know, stories and hype out there about some of the attacks that are going on and insecurities out there, but, you know, a lot of these problems with this security come down to people not using strong enough passwords. That's really the honest truth about it. It's not that Microsoft's infrastructure for running the system is poor or, you know, has holes in it. That's not the case. It's that people are using passwords, they're reusing bad passwords on services, across services, so hackers are getting into one service that you have, and they're then rolling into everything else that you have a subscription into or an account with because you use the same password across the board. You know, so that is the biggest issue with platforms like this. It's not the insecurity of the actual system itself. Okay, so where does this whole cloud concept come in with OneDrive? That is a very good question and something that I want to answer here today. So just a little few slides of jokes before I get going to the actual meat of the concept. You know, this whole concept of, or the notion of OneDrive and this cloud storage, you know, is a real evolution of how we've been working with our computer systems and with our files, with our information, with our data. So of course, before computers were out there, we were drowning in files like this man over here on the screen. And then we came along whiteboards, so we were putting information up on whiteboards, which is fine, but you know, hard to share, hard to store on a long-term basis. Post-it notes, you know, we can get crazy with post-it notes as well. I see people use them in very interesting manners, as seen on the screen here. And then, of course, we got computers, and no, that's not me, even though some people have said that does look like me. That is a picture I found online. So computers came along, and the big issue was that we got overwhelmed with files. So this is actually some desktops that I see from my customers. Some of them have messy desktops like this, and they just have too many files on their machines. And of course, you know, that becomes unmanageable after a certain point. Some people are still using floppies. I hope not. They're very dangerous mechanisms to be using. But you know, the best uses for floppies that I say is make something creative out of them. They shouldn't be used for data storage in any way. And then we got email. So email came along, and everyone started sharing things across email. So you know, Grandma was sending files over to little Jimmy. Little Jimmy was sending stuff back to Mom. And of course, we got into this issue with attachments and attachment size. And I deal with this all the time with customers telling me, boy, I hate dealing with attachments because you never know, you know, who has the master version. The files are too large, I got to split things into multiple emails. So sharing in the route of doing it over email just doesn't work anymore, and it hasn't worked for a few years. So this mess of this attachment nightmare is this circle that almost never seemed to die on us. And then another issue that came up is, we were sad when our computers died or got fried or melted in this nature because we didn't have backups. So OneDrive also solves our need to make sure that we have our files backed up, because it does it behind your back automatically. So we don't have to worry about this backup situation anymore. So it all comes down to, what is wrong with, the way we've been storing files and backing up our files. And it comes down to a few core concepts, right? Who has the master copy of the file? Always a big question when it comes to these email chains. I see people doing this all the time, 30 copies being passed along over email back and forth. Nobody knows which one is the master copy. They're looking at the date and timestamps, but that's, again, an old way. It's a very, manual way of dealing with, moving files between one another. How do we easily share this information with other people, right? OneDrive solves this notion of not having to email these attachments, sharing files, but keeping one master copy in someplace, and that someplace is the cloud, right? But we can have that synchronized back to our computers. The master copy can sit in the cloud. We have access to it. Multiple people can edit it at the same time, and we don't have to worry about who's holding that master copy. It's a nice thing that OneDrive solves for us.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So if they're all editing at the same time, okay, so they're seeing it live being changed, or whatever.
Correct.
So whenever it's saved, it's all just saved with all those changes at the same time. So what if somebody's making changes you don't want them to be making?
That's why there's a revision history function that you can use. You can roll back changes based upon who was editing at what time they were making those changes. And I think I'm going to show that actually part of the agenda is going into showing revision history. So we're going to do some of that live editing together. I'm going to show how this concept works so you can get a feel for sharing files out like this. It's a little scary at first because people are scared of someone else making changes we don't want, but the fact that we can roll back those changes very easily hopefully will allay some of those fears that people have. Who's keeping the backups of the stuff, right? We always were flash drives or external hard drive backups or floppy disks used for backup. Not anymore. We don't have to do that, right? If we have OneDrive on our computer or our mobile device, or we're using the web version, the backup is being kept in the cloud by Microsoft. You can have an extra copy on your computer as well, but you don't have to worry about, is my backup routine running? Is my backup failing? If it's saving in OneDrive, it's backing up as part of that process. It's not a two separate function process anymore. It's one single function. And then of course, the question of I'm missing font files, or we're sharing files between people and they don't have the font, or they can't use this certain plugin that you've put inside that document. So there's this big mess of, I'm using Office 2003, she's using Office 2007, they're using Office 2013. Microsoft's made it better, but it's never been perfect, right? This is as close to perfect as we're coming to seamless sharing of documents between multiple individuals. And as I said, OneDrive is answering a lot of these questions for myself, my customers, and I'm going to show you how this functions as we go along here today. So again, a lot of people say, I'm so scared of the cloud. There's so much insecurity that goes along with the cloud. And I actually wrote an article that was posted late last year about this, and I actually covered a survey that was done for some businesses. And they went ahead and they asked them, and these were execs, these were the IT professionals that run the IT departments of these companies in USA, Britain, France, and a few other countries. And the results were fairly shocking to a lot of people. 94% of them said that they actually had better security after moving to the cloud as opposed to using traditional software. Well, how could that be? Right? And I'm not going to go into all the details surrounding why that is, but the cloud infrastructure, the cloud systems that Microsoft and Google and the other big players have, small businesses, mid-sized businesses, even enterprises cannot compete with, right? We are talking economies of scale, systems of scale that have the best levels of security, the best hardware items keeping these networks secure, and small businesses just cannot keep up with these kind of advancements and improvements. So this is why this number was so shockingly high, is because once they found out what they were actually getting from the cloud, they found out it was actually a lot better than they had anticipated. And they also reported 62% of them said that product privacy levels actually went up as well And again, that goes into better security, goes into better privacy functions, and all the different wrappers that are involved with how these cloud systems work, especially on the Microsoft side. So as I told everyone in the article, the misunderstanding that people have about the cloud is the bigger problem here, as opposed to the service themselves. These services are fairly secure. The big players are doing a good job. I'm not saying across the board that everyone's doing an excellent job, right? There are some smaller players that aren't keeping up as well and do have security issues, but the Googles of the world, the Microsofts, the Apples of the world, they got their things down pretty well. They've been doing this cloud thing for more than a few years at this point. So let's jump in. That's the introduction about OneDrive. I want to jump in. I'll actually start doing some live demonstrations here and going through some of these aspects here with us. So everyone is signed into their OneDrive account now on the computer side, I'm hoping, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign into my account. And one thing I want to say right off the bat, right? Just like in the Google ecosystem, you have a Gmail account, you have a Google account, and they are doing the same thing. In the Microsoft side, the same kind of concept exists right now. So if you have a OneDrive account, you most likely also have an Outlook.com account, which is also a Microsoft account. Very confusing. They're all in one the same, right? They use different names, different synonyms, but they're all actually the same account. You have access to the different services with that account. So just because you signed up for what you thought was just a OneDrive account, you actually have access into Outlook.com, you have access into all the different cloud services that Microsoft has to offer on the personal side.
And will one login get into all three?
One login gets you into all three, correct. Yeah. Yeah, so unlike before, where Hotmail was separate from the different services,
right,
from a passport account as they used to call it, that's not the case anymore. Everything's under one flag. So you either have a single Microsoft account like this that you're using, or if you're a business, you're using your Office 365 account. But still, again, centralizing and simplifying our login and our credential experience. Yes, go ahead.
What is an Office 365 account?
That is the version of OneDrive that is, and the related services meant for businesses. It's a paid service. You get support from Microsoft. You have guaranteed uptime. You have more storage space. It's the version that's meant to be used by large businesses. So we use it. Our customers are using it. By and large, you pay a flat monthly rate for whatever kind of service level you want, and they give you email access. They give you OneDrive for Business. You get SharePoint, which is the enterprise version of OneDrive, so you get a lot of things like that. So, yes?
I left my computer at home because it was updating.
Okay.
Will this affect that? I'm sure it's shut off by now, but will me going on here affect that if it hasn't shut off?
What will affect it? Your OneDrive account?
Right here, what I'm going to be doing here?
It has no relation to it actually. Because this is we're doing everything in the web right now, so whatever changes here is going to be present no matter what happened on your computer at home. So it will travel across systems, I'll say it that way. Okay? So the amount of storage space you get with OneDrive, the concept of storage, I want to cover this also very quickly, right? There's a notion of how much space you get within your OneDrive account, and as I'll show on the bottom left-hand corner here, it's showing as 15 gigabytes available. I'm pretty certain that they're going to be increasing this to 30 gigabytes, and this is going to continue going up and up and up, right? So you just got 15 gigabytes of free storage without lifting a finger, okay? So everyone's giving away free storage these days. Microsoft's no different. So your account should have 15 gigabytes. My actual personal OneDrive account, I have about 50 gigabytes because I have a Windows phone, some other things I've signed up for. So you might have a little bit more depending on what services you have tied in, but by default, you're entitled to 15 gigabytes of space in Microsoft's cloud at no charge, which is nice because for 15 gigabytes, for most people, that covers their personal documents, that covers most people's photo collections unless you have a lot of photos. But you can upgrade your storage space and get more storage at a very cheap price, and I'll show everyone a little bit, how cheap that storage is.
So the 15 is free, just automatically?
Totally free, totally free. And I think they released a news article just a few weeks back that said they're going to be doubling it to 30 gigabytes. So I think the 30 gigabytes should be showing in your account very soon. Probably by Christmas, I would think. You can double the free storage at no extra charge. So there are multiple different ways that we can access our OneDrive account, right? Most of what I'm going to be showing and doing is going to be within the web browser here today, which is the web version of OneDrive. But what we do and what we change in here and files that we add travel across our different devices. So if we have an iPad, if we have a phone, if we have another kind of tablet device, and we download and install the OneDrive app on those different devices, we can go into the account off all the different things that we own, right? So this concept of everything being previously stored on our computer, and we had to do a lot of work like put it on flash drives or floppy disks to move it across systems, Microsoft is doing the heavy lifting for us now. All they're saying is, if you save it into your OneDrive account, and I'll show you the different ways to do that, we'll carry it across your different devices without you lifting a finger. How nice is that? Makes life a lot simpler. Secure, safe, and again, depending on how much storage space you have, you can put your whole data history, your whole document sets and photos within there without having to do anything else. So the first way to access OneDrive is through OneDrive.com. That's the web browser version that we're on here today. So I'm going to go over the interface in just a few seconds here to show everyone how this looks, how this works. But the other way that we can access OneDrive is through the desktop app. So if you're using Windows 7 or Mac OS, if you're using Windows 8, it's built right into the operating system, like what I'm using right now. My actual OneDrive, actually I should open up, let me open up my personal OneDrive here really quickly. So this is my OneDrive, my personal OneDrive, not the one I'm going to use in class today for training purposes. You can see all my different folders that I have here for all the things that I store. And if I go into my OneDrive area on my desktop computer here, since I'm signed into my same Microsoft account on my computer, I have access to all the same folders here. So as you can see, these folders here mimic one-to-one everything I have on my local computer. So everyone asks me, well, I want to use it more on my local desktop. I don't want to go in the web browser. This is option number 2 for you. It's baked right into Windows 8. You can get an add-on app that you can install for Windows 7 or Mac OS to do the same similar kind of function for you. But again, I can go in here and I have my different folders, and I can, there we are. I can go ahead and edit files. I can open files. And I can even go ahead and again, so some things in the web browser, don't work the same, like PDF files. I can view them, you can upload them, but you can't work on PDFs unless you have something like Adobe Acrobat or Foxit Reader Pro or something like that. But core Office documents like Microsoft Word, Excel, let me go into my Android tablet class we did just a few weeks back. Let's go back in there. So if I open my Android cheat sheet from my computer, I'll show you how it looks on the web browser. It'll be exactly the same.
So if you had Adobe then and you were editing the PDF file, it would update in the cloud too.
It would.
It's just you
Yeah.
just need the vehicle to
Yeah,
edit.
exactly. It's just that is a program that doesn't work on the cloud. It only works locally. But in terms of storage of that file that you're making, it works in both places. It doesn't care.
It's just like all the Apple stuff. Everything updates with your iPad, your phone, and everything.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's just a different cloud.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah. But this goes one step further because this gives you version of Microsoft Office in the cloud, which Apple doesn't have access to. No one has access. Not even Google has that. So that's one thing that Microsoft has a leg up on these days. Yes?
Okay, but do you have to have Microsoft Office on your computer?
No. Well, let me rephrase that. If you want to use OneDrive in the way I'm doing here with storing files and opening them on my local computer to work on them like this, yes, you do need Office. But if you don't care about using Office in that manner and you're okay with working in the web interface on it, I have a full version of Word and Excel and PowerPoint within the web browser that I can use. It's not as full featured. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the desktop version does because this has only been around for a few years and desktop Office has been around for 25 years. So they're not there yet, but they're getting there. And it's fairly powerful already.
But the version thing doesn't matter?
The version thing
I mean,
now
if
does
you
not
have-
matter.
If you have Office on your computer at home, and let's say it's an older version.
As long as it's 2007 or newer, it'll work just fine with this. Before 2007, they had proprietary legacy formats that don't really play nicely with OneDrive. But to be honest with you, I don't really see anyone in the field that has older than 2007 anymore. So that problem, for most people, should be an extinct problem. So as you can see here, I just opened up the web browser version of my Android tablet's cheat sheet, and look at that. I can edit it, I can change it, I can add stuff into it, and when I save it, those changes are going to save back down to my local folder, so when I open it on my computer, those changes will be there as well. So again, this is that seamless aspect scenario that I'm talking about. Working on it in the cloud, working on it locally, it doesn't matter. All the changes get synchronized between my different devices here. So a lot of people that don't have Office, we did actually a full class on just the web apps a few months back. And these web apps, again, can be used even if you don't have a full copy of Office. They're completely free. If you have a OneDrive account, you have access to all these Office apps on the web browser. Completely free of charge. Microsoft isn't charging anything for them. Microsoft's making their money now on you upgrading the storage that you have on your OneDrive account, but they're not charging for the Office that you're using in the web browser here. And again, this is not for everyone, right? It has some limitations. One thing I'll show you right here is you'll see all the different tabs up top here on the Word web app, or Word Online as it's called now. So it only has a few tabs compared to my full Microsoft Word here that has a few more tabs, right? I can't do mail merges, I can't do advanced reference features in the web browser version. So it's a little more limited. It doesn't have all the features, but Microsoft's making updates on a near monthly basis to it. It's going to get there. I would say in 2-3 years, the web version of Office is going to be as powerful or more powerful than the desktop version. I guarantee it. So we're almost at the cusp of where we're not going to have to be installing the full version of Office anymore on our desktop computers. It's going to be a thing of the past at some point. Okay? So let's keep going here. So that was way number 2 on our desktop, synchronizing it down to our desktop computer. Well, I put it on the agenda as 2 separate things. So the Windows 8 version is the one that's built in. You don't need a separate app. The desktop app that's separate is on Vista, Windows 7, Windows XP, or Mac OS. So the 3rd version is the web interface that we're working within right over here today at OneDrive.com. And the 4th way is the mobile apps. As far as I know, as of today, every mobile device out there, Android, iOS, the Windows phones, Windows tablets, and even the Xbox systems, all have a OneDrive app. So you can access your files on any kind of device you may be using, even in the living room. iPhone, yeah, iOS iPhone, yeah.
I was trying to do a download on my iPad.
Okay.
And
What happened?
it gave me 2 choices.
Okay.
A regular one and a business one.
Yes, so that's what I was talking about. The business one comes as part of the paid Office for 365 version. That's not the one you want. You want the free version, which is just OneDrive or OneDrive Personal.
Okay.
Okay?
So to get the add-on for Windows 7, where do you go to get
You just go to OneDrive.com. Before you even log in, there should be an option. Let me see if
download the add-on?
I can show it to you. There is a, yeah, you can download it. Here we go. Bottom left-hand corner, once you're signed in, get OneDrive apps. If we can maybe not see that there, but if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, there's a Get OneDrive Apps, and it asks you, what kind of device do you have? What do you want to put it on? Android, Mac OS, iOS.
Okay.
So, and there you go. Actually, they dropped support for Windows XP. You can't use OneDrive on Windows XP, so that's recent. But other than that, you can use it on every copy of Windows. Other than that. But like I said, if you have Windows 8 or 8.1, it's built into the operating system. You don't need a separate app. You just have to make sure you sign in with the account that you're using for OneDrive, right? So if you do a sign in, if I go back to my start screen and I'm on my accounts area, no, let me go to my settings here. If I go into my settings, I have to make sure I'm signed in with my proper account, right? So dwlodarz@outlook.com is my personal OneDrive account that I use, and that's what it's connected to. So if you sign into your computer with that, you'll have that seamless synchronization that I was just showing you on my computer. So you'll have access to that for yourself, okay? So that's that. Okay, so I showed everyone where to download the app for themselves. I showed you how to sign into your account on Windows 8 devices. I even showed everyone how the local computer interface looks for folders. It's no different, right? The local computer interface, everyone thinks it's, you know, some separate, totally separate area. It's not really anything that different. It's just another folder on your computer that you save into. So instead of saving it on your desktop like we do, or saving it into my documents folder, all you're going to do when you make something is save it into your OneDrive area. It shows right up in your computer area. It's a separate little sub area on the computer, you can say, but within there, as long as it's dropped in somewhere within this OneDrive area, it will go ahead and it will show up in your account. So, and this is another good question. Some people have asked me before in previous classes, well, if I sign up for OneDrive and I'm using OneDrive on my machine, do I have to store everything in OneDrive, everything in the cloud? No, you don't have to. If you don't want to put your tax returns, if you don't want to put, you know, password sheets or something like that, or private personal information, it doesn't have to go in there. Microsoft's not forcing you to use it. It's completely optional. When I'm making a file, so say for example, we'll just open up WordPad. If I'm saving a WordPad file and I'm going to do a save, I have a choice. Do I want to put it on my desktop or in my downloads or in my documents area, or do I want to put it in OneDrive? You make the choice. You don't want it in OneDrive, don't place it in OneDrive. And even if you place something in OneDrive that you don't want there, you can move it out at any time. It's a normal folder on your computer. You can go ahead, you can move items, copy, cut, paste, just like anything else.
So if you put it on your computer, it doesn't automatically go to the cloud.
Right,
Unless it's in the OneDrive area.
Unless you put it in one.
If it's on your desktop, it's not in OneDrive. If it's in your My Documents area, it's not in OneDrive. If it's in your Downloads area, it's not in OneDrive. Only if you specifically move it into this area, that's called OneDrive on the computer.
That's what's different from the Apple, because everything we have on our iPad automatically goes to the cloud without telling it. That's what's different. That's what I just
iPad
realized.
forces you
That's
into
what's
it.
different. So if you have a document on your computer and you're updating, you know, changing it, it's not going to the cloud until you save it to the OneDrive, which is different than the Apple. When you do your notes or whatever, it automatically just is to the cloud. That's what's different.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you saying that it's safer in OneDrive than on your desktop?
I would say it depends. It depends. In most cases, yes. In most cases, yes, right? If you lose your computer and your only copy of it is on that computer, you don't have any other backups, right? In that situation, keeping it in OneDrive is actually a safer bet, a more secure bet. If a thief steals it and gets access to it, and you don't have any more copies of that file, you're out of luck. You know, but if you place it into OneDrive, now you have a recourse of getting that file for yourself.
From another computer?
Yeah. Or the web, or on another mobile device for yourself. So it opens your options up. That's what this is all about, giving you options, not just forcing you to save everything on your local computer. You can still do that if you want to, but now you have the choice to put things that you want to put up there, that you want to have synchronized up there, that you want to share with others seamlessly. And we'll go into sharing in just a little bit.
You're using it as a backup. You can use it
It's
as
a backup, it's storage.
You can free up storage on your
It gets rid of having to use attachments to send things to people. It solves a lot of these snagging problems that have been around for a lot of years. So it's really it's a Swiss Army knife for your documents.
So
Yes.
you shouldn't be paying like $5 a month for backup or something like the advertising?
And that is a it depends question. If you're putting everything in OneDrive that needs to be backed up and secured, then no, you don't have to pay for separate backup. But if you're keeping two separate data sets, some of your stuff you don't want in OneDrive in a separate area in your computer, and everything else in OneDrive, then yes, you do need some kind of backup aspect or backup tool to handle everything else. Because if OneDrive can't touch it, OneDrive can't back it up. So that's a decision you have to make.
And you're saying that, I mean, Microsoft has so many backups that you don't have to worry about their systems failing.
You really don't.
Stuff.
You really don't. I've got a lot of customers that use it. I've been using it now for a couple years. I mean, the problem with data getting deleted from their systems, I haven't seen it to be a case. I mean, can it happen? Anything can happen, right? The likelihood of it happening is that your computer's going to crash. Well, it's more likely your backup is not going to function as opposed to the OneDrive copy being deleted. Microsoft's got big data centers across the US. Chicago's got one, Texas, Washington, East Coast, and this stuff's all copied between them. So even if one whole data center got lost in an earthquake or a tornado, the other ones all have copies of it. We can never do that as individuals or small businesses. So that's why the power of the cloud is really nice in that aspect. So they're doing those backups across the regions of the US for you. So, okay. back into the OneDrive web interface. I want to go over some of the navigation aspects of the web interface, right? You never have to use this web interface again if you just want to use the desktop copy in Windows or on the Mac, but again, there would be too many things for me to show off and train everyone on. So I'm going to train on what is common across everyone's computers right now, which is the web interface. And again, this is the version that has these free online versions of Office. So in my eyes, it's a fairly powerful interface. It's one of the most powerful if you don't have Office. So what we're viewing here in our OneDrive account, this is pretty much a web version of a Windows Explorer, File Explorer, right? We view files on our computer and we travel around and pick things up off our desktop and our My Documents. This is no different. It's just inside of a web browser, right? It's your OneDrive account up in Microsoft Service, and you can create folders for yourself. You can add documents in here for yourself. So let's go over some of the basic aspects of how this looks and works. So first things first, upper left-hand corner, this is now what's called, I forget what they exactly call, but it's the drop-down menu, and this is where you can access the different services in Microsoft's cloud platform at any given time. If you use Google or Gmail or their services like Google Drive, they have a very similar function where you can get between the different aspects at any given time. So if I use the drop-down next to OneDrive, I can go to my Outlook.com account if you use Hotmail or you use this email address as your primary email. You can go to your address book in the same spot. I can jump into my calendar, my personal calendar that synchronizes between my devices as well. So those are aspects I'm not going to cover, but you can play with those on your own. I actually did a class on Outlook.com if you're interested in these first three aspects. It's on our YouTube channel. OneDrive is, of course, what we're teaching here today. And if you want, you can jump into any of the 4 different Office web apps for yourself. So Word Online, Excel Online, PowerPoint, and OneNote. So if I wanted to get into a Word document, I could just click on Word Online. It'll ask me what I want to do. Do I want to browse a template, work off a template? Do I want to work off a blank document? I'm just going to choose a blank document here. And we'll go into the actual app in just a little bit. But there we go. There's a Word document I can start working on. And this is in essence the same thing as me clicking on Microsoft Word on my computer and starting a document here. Except right away it's saved in my OneDrive account. I don't have to worry about, did I save it? Did I back it up? If you're working on it within the web browser, it is automatically being saved into your account on the fly, and it's saving it every 5-10 seconds or so. It has very quick save intervals. Faster than the desktop version. Desktop version of Office, I think, saves no faster than about 5 minutes, every 5 minutes. This is doing it every 15-20 seconds. So it's lightning fast in terms of how quickly you're getting those changes saved. So if the computer crashes or dies right now, you'd have those things saved and backed up for yourself. So let's go back into the OneDrive interface here. So that's how you can navigate between different services. And again, if I'm within Word Online or Excel Online, I can hop between the different services with just a click of a little drop-down arrow here. Okay? Moving along the top row over here, let me zoom in a little bit so everyone can see a little bit better. The Create button, if I wanted to go ahead and I was within my OneDrive account, I want to just create something very similarly. And this goes along with most of the ways Microsoft's doing things these days. There's multiple ways to access anything, right? Like on your computer, you can do things in multiple different ways. The way I show you may not be the way you like it. Is the same kind of concepts that apply in OneDrive. I can start a new document by using the drop-down arrow and choosing one of the Office Online apps, or I can just click on the Create button and I can do the same thing. However, I have a few extra options here. Unlike the navigation menu, which only had the 4 options, I have an extra option that I can create an Excel survey. I'm going to try to show that off at the end. And in one of our previous classes, I used this during the class. We actually did a survey within this. It's a free survey tool you can do to get feedback from others, feedback from customers. You can, I've shown examples of you can do like wedding planning with this by sending this out to the family. So a very powerful tool that's completely free. But that's called Excel survey. That's only available in the OneDrive web interface. And you can just make a plain text document, which is in essence like a WordPad document for yourself. Okay? If you have files on your local computer, a lot of people ask me, hey, I'm getting into OneDrive, I'm making new things in OneDrive. How do I bring my existing things into OneDrive? 2 ways you can do that. The easiest way, I'll admit it, the easiest way is not within the web browser. Easiest way is actually on your desktop. If you have the desktop version of OneDrive installed, since I'm on Windows 8, it's already caked into the operating system. But I just say, install the local app and just do a drag and drop. So go in your OneDrive folder, drag and drop whatever you want in OneDrive right into there. It'll synchronize and it'll hit your web version of OneDrive. So that's the easiest way. The second way you can do it though, which is also functional, just a little more time consuming, is by using the upload button. So there's a big upload button at the top of the screen here. When you log into OneDrive, you can click on upload, and it'll go ahead and ask you, where's your files at? What do you want to upload? You can do whole folders, you can do individual files from here, but this is no different than uploading a file as an email attachment to an email. Same exact thing. Find your file or files, click on open, and it'll go ahead and upload it to wherever you are within OneDrive at the current time. Okay? If I have a file in a spot, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rename this file over here. And actually, it's something I should show you. If I right-click on a folder or a file in the OneDrive web interface, I have a lot of different options that show up. I can open that file in full Microsoft Word. I can open the file and open it in Word Online, which is the online free version of Word. I can download it back to my computer as a single file. I can share it right from here. So we'll get into sharing in a little bit, about how I can share this out with others without having to email it to them. There's an embed option. I can embed it into like a website. It's a little more advanced function I'm not going to get into. I want to actually rename it, so I'm going to do this test document like that. And I can even move files and folders around between the different levels in OneDrive. So this is called the root or the core area of my OneDrive account. By default, you have a documents folder, you have a pictures folder for yourself, and then I can put files over here for myself. No different than on your desktop, right? Your desktop on your computer has a My Computer icon, a recycle bin, and then you can drop stuff onto it. This is just a web version of that same concept. So this little test document I made over here, I can move into a different folder. If I told myself, hey, I made this test document here, I actually wanted it in documents, all I have to do is hold on to it and drag it right into documents. And if I go into documents, there it is. Well, I have a document and a test document. So I got two things I already made in there. So again, it's a similar kind of concepts to what we do on our local computers. It's just within a web browser. Drag and drop, rename, make files, edit files. All the same kind of things we can do within the web browser. It's just a little bit of getting used to the look and feel of how this works. If I go into this document over here, it'll bring me up a preview of how it looks. If I want to edit this document, I can click on Edit Document, and again, I get that other option we just showed. When I right-clicked on the file, I had these options as well. I get these same options in this Edit Document button. I can edit it in full Microsoft Word on my computer, or I can edit it in Word Online. I'm going to do Edit in Word Online because that's what I want to show off here. And now I have, in essence, a blank Microsoft Word document. So I can make changes within here, add things within here for myself. As I said, it saves automatically. If you see at the bottom of your screen, it might be cut off on the projector over here because it's a little bit of cut off, but it's telling me it's saving, and it's saving instantaneously. Within 5 seconds, it told me it was saving it. And I'll show you that's the case. There is actually no save button, as you'll see. Unlike Microsoft Word on the desktop, there is no save button. You won't find one because you don't have to worry about saving, right? So let's get the notion of having to click the save button out of our minds. We don't have to do that in Office Online. There is no save button because it happens automatically. Yes?
I have 2 questions.
Go ahead.
So if you pick the version, the Office version that's on your desktop, will it still saving in the cloud? It's just using
Yes. So what it does is it opens a temporary copy of that document that you can work on, but behind the scenes it's doing the translation of putting it back into your OneDrive account.
And it's not on your desktop at all?
It's not on your desktop, no.
Okay.
It is on your desktop if you have the OneDrive app installed on there, right? But that's separate from what you're doing if you use that function that I just showed you where it said edit in Word.
Oh, so if you have the app on your computer, it'll be on your computer too?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then the second.
But that's a separate choice you have to make, right? Installing the app and using this edit in Word option is 2 separate things that you can do.
Okay. And then you said it's saving automatically. Well, for Word maybe it doesn't matter, but I don't know. I even think for Word because there are times when you, especially in Excel, you make edits and changes, and you just want to see what something looks like, but you don't necessarily want it to be saved. You want to look back as your calculation from before.
Okay.
So if you save it, then you can't go back to your old calculation. You know what I mean? Like if you're working in Excel and you have things that are linked in, and you change a number because you want to see what something looks like. If you change it, well, you don't necessarily want it to be saved because maybe you want to see what you had before.
Well, in that cases, that's why they have the revision history within the program that you can use to revert back on versions. So
yeah, but that's hard. I mean, it keeps saving for you. That means the revision is going to be like every time you make a change, it's going to be saved. And if you want to go back 5 changes, like for example, if
well,
I do
and I think that particular situation might be better suited for the desktop version. You might need that 5-10 minute delay before a save gets made. In that situation, that is one of the few instances where I think the desktop version probably does work better.
Yeah, but when you're working in Excel, that's not an unusual thing for Excel. I mean, maybe in Word it would be, but not for Excel. When you're looking at different calculations and you want to see how things are, you don't necessarily want it to be saved every second.
Well, and that's a decision you'll have to make. If you don't want it to be doing that, but auto save for you, you have to use the desktop version for yourself.
What kind of a name does it use when it automatically saves?
It'll just make a document name like document 1, document 2. I renamed it already, so it's called test document, but it'll put a name on it. And if there's a document 1 that you saved already, it'll just do document 2. So it will save it just sequentially going forward with what it had.
So I can go back and take a previous document, edit it, and call it a different name, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So there's no problem with the addition.
Yeah, but you don't want to have to keep going back to another file. I mean, that would be a pain. I don't know, do you edit Excel documents? Like, do you understand what I'm talking about?
A lot of that.
So, I mean, I'm just thinking that, if you just want to see, what does this look like? Or let me try this, let me see this. Okay, none of those things work. I just want to go back to the other one. You're talking maybe a 5-minute thing. You don't want to have to go back to another.
Yeah, but then you have the revert button. You can do a revert. Just revert back. 2 changes, 3 changes. I mean, they have like 30 reverts you can save on.
But it's just something you have to know in your head.
Again, it's a little bit of a mental leap to understand how the nuances.
Well, you have to be aware of it.
Yeah. But I mean, that instance, if you're not doing any more than 30 reverts, then you can just revert back to whatever. 3rd number back, 4th number back that you're using. That's a way that I would get around that, in all essence. So, any other questions anyone had? All right, let's go back into the main interface here of the OneDrive web interface. So we went over some of the initial buttons over here. I showed off some of the main area over here. There are actually different view styles that you can have. Just like on your computer, you can change it from big thumbnail view to list view. I prefer list view. I sort of like that geeky look, the list look. But you can go into thumbnail view. So if you have pictures within here, you'd be able to see previews of them within the folders. So it just all depends on what you like. There's also this little preview pane that you can have where you can show a preview of that document on the right-hand side. So if you use that within Windows, in Windows it doesn't work that well. It breaks a lot of things, but in the OneDrive web interface it works pretty well. So you can use that. I'm going to turn that off for now. We'll go back into list view. There is a search button over here that you can use on the left-hand side for yourself. The search function is pretty powerful. Microsoft's got very good search built into this, so I can search contextually within documents. I can search for titles of documents. I can search for part of document names. So if I just type in test over here, it found test document. If I had test within a document, it would find that document for me as well. So it's pretty powerful in how you can search for things. Most of the time I tell people, search for it, don't hunt for it. You'll save yourself a lot of time. Searching is very, very powerful within OneDrive. Use the functionality that they've given you. You've got a recent docs area, so of course it'll show you all the recent things you've worked on. So sort of like if you use the jump lists within Windows, it's the exact same thing, but it shows you across all the different documents and files you worked on. So your recent documents shows you the last thing worked on, and then going back sequentially in terms of your file history. So that's your recent documents area. Photos, if you have photos stored within your OneDrive, you'll see all your photos at a glance on here. If you connect OneDrive to your mobile phone, it's actually something I should mention for everyone. A lot of people are worried about losing their phones, losing all their photos these days. If you use an iPhone, yeah, you can use the iCloud functionality if you'd like to. But OneDrive has the same functionality and exists across all the mobile devices, Android, Windows Phone, and iPhone. So you can connect your OneDrive app to your mobile phone, and you can tell it to store a copy of all your pictures in your OneDrive account. That's what I do on my phone. That's why I never care if I lose my phone, because everything's backed up on it. It really doesn't matter to me at that point. So this is a really neat function, neat feature you can use to back up all your pictures straight into your OneDrive account. So again, reducing the risk of what happens if I lose my phone. Okay? And then the shared area is an area that will start building as you start sharing out documents with others, right? So I haven't shared anything. It doesn't have anything to show me that I've shared. But anything that you've shared out, either with viewing access only or editing access to other parties, Those documents are going to be shown here, and they're going to have the sharing rights attached to them as well. So at a glance, you can always see what is shared out of my account. Right? And everyone's always so scared when I start talking about the sharing aspect of, is everything shared? Why? How can I control it? Am I going to lose control over the files? If you go into the shared area, you'll have an at-a-glance view for everything shared out of your account. And the one thing I'll mention now, and one thing I'll mention again a little bit later on in class, nothing is shared unless you specifically and explicitly share it. Okay? So just because you can share things in OneDrive doesn't mean they are shared behind your back. That is never the case. You have to manually flip the switch on any document or folder that you want to share out. So let's keep that in mind. Okay? Yes?
Could you have, you said you had 15 right now.
Sure.
Available. And like a lot of pictures take up a lot of room and stuff. So could you just sign up for another account? Like, does the computer remember that you have?
You can do as many accounts as
you, right?
So on the computer side, if you log in on your local computer, you can only be in one account at a time.
At a time.
So that it's a nuisance because at a time, yes.
Right, but you could have more than one, and it's not going to say, well, you already have one, so you can't have another one.
No, you can have as many accounts as you want.
So you can just get more storage that way.
You can, but again, it's going to be a matter of how many accounts do you want to sprawl data over, right? It becomes an organization mess as opposed to anything else.
But if you're storing and you say, okay, this one is my picture account because I have so many pictures, and this one's my document account.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you tie your OneDrive to your phone, they give you an extra 15 gigs free.
Right.
That's why I have so much. So you get 30 gigs if you tie it to your iOS, to your iPhone for yourself.
Okay.
So they're giving away extra storage all the time for simple things like that. So if you've got more than 30 gigs of photos, maybe you do have more than 30 gigs of photos. But most people I know don't have that many photos on their mobile phone.
Well, because that's an issue with the iCloud is because there's only a certain amount they give you.
I don't know what they cap iCloud on. I think it's like 10 gigs they cap you,
but
7 or 10
I
gigs.
think there's something, and I'm not sure, but I think that once it gets full, it starts deleting, you start losing things. Like it puts more current thing in and takes away the older things. So if you have all these pictures and you've used up all your free space, that's why I don't have my pictures on there, because then you start losing them.
Yeah, the oldest ones will get deleted.
The oldest ones gets deleted, right?
And the current ones get.
Well, I don't want them deleting my pictures, so.
Okay.
That's.
Well, and that's an instance where I would say maybe move to the OneDrive
it's much less
service
than
instead.
15. I think it's only 5 or something, right? I think it's only 5 gigs.
I think it's quite a bit smaller. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's more than what OneDrive offers.
Even on my smartphone, the oldest emails get knocked out as the new ones come in.
Maybe you need those. Maybe you need to find something.
So bottom left-hand side of the interface, we have a recycle bin. So people ask, well, I deleted something by mistake. How can I get to it? The recycle bin is going to go ahead and store it. It's a virtual recycle bin. Your computer has one, so does your OneDrive account. And the recycle bin works if you delete things off of your local computer OneDrive or the web version of your account. They both work in unison. So if I went in and I deleted this test document, delete. Okay, I have an option to undo it, just showed me right there, which is nice. If you did it by mistake, you can undo it right away. But if I go into my recycle bin, there it is, and I can go ahead and I can restore that file for myself. Okay? So that's your recycle bin. If you want to get more storage space, there's an option on the bottom left-hand side to get more storage. And you can see here I have only 15 gigs on my free account. And again, as I said, there's a camera roll bonus, which is the tying it to your mobile phone. If I did that, I would get a bonus. If I refer friends to OneDrive, I get a bonus. If you just want to buy storage outright and not deal with the goofiness of the little add-ons like that, you can go ahead and just purchase. You can get 100 gigabytes for $2 per month. 200 gigabytes for $4 a month. This is the cheapest cloud storage on the market. It doesn't get any cheaper than that, and you can add on even more for yourself if you like. If you buy Office 365, the Personal Home Edition for yourself, that comes with all the desktop Office apps, they'll give you a terabyte plus the Office 365 for $10 a month. Dirt cheap in my opinion. It's well worth it. It's a good deal. But again, many different ways to get extra storage. You will be rolling over free storage or storage space before you know it. Okay?
Where do you find that?
Where do you find that option?
Yeah.
So that was in the bottom left-hand corner of your OneDrive account. There's an option called Get More Storage. Bottom left.
Storage.
You click on that, and it'll show you the ways that you can just get the free add-ons, or you can just pay for some extra storage if you want to. Okay? And actually now, this is a good thing that they brought this up on the screen here. OneDrive used to have a limit of file sizes up to 2 gigabytes each. They just unleashed about 3 weeks ago the ability to upload files up to 10 gigabytes in size each. For most people, that's probably not going to matter. That is a very large file. 10 gigabyte files, you're probably only going to have like on video, personal video files, things like that. I'd be shocked to see any kind of music or documents that large, but if you have any kind of personal videos you've recorded you want to store in there, now you can do it as long as it's less than 10 gigabytes in size, and they're going to be increasing that even further as time goes on. So, okay. So that's the interface that we have there for ourselves on the OneDrive interface. And again, this interface that we're seeing here, where you're using it within Firefox, and it looks the same as what I have. I'm using it in Explorer, it looks the same. If you go home and use it in Safari or Chrome, it will also look the same, right? It's meant to be a seamless experience across whatever browser you may be using. Now, you may run into some issues if you're using a really old version of Firefox or really old version of Internet Explorer like what's on Windows XP. In those cases, it's time to upgrade. But in general, if you're using a recent modern system, any of the browsers will display the OneDrive website and the services in a similar manner for you. Okay? So let's go in and create a file for ourselves. And I want everyone to go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead on the web browser. This is your time to poke around a little bit. Let's go ahead and just make a new file for ourselves. Make whatever kind of file you want. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually make an Excel workbook. But you can make a PowerPoint. You can make a OneNote notebook for yourself if you want. I want you to get a feel for how this looks, how it looks to make a file for yourself, how to work within it. Okay? I can immediately start typing into the document. One of the first things I do when I start making a document within the Office Online apps is I set a title for it, unless you like the default titles of Book 1, Book 2, Book 3. Go ahead and put your mouse cursor into the title area and call it something. This is our awesome test Excel spreadsheet! Exclamation mark. And I can format things. I can go ahead, I'm in Excel, I can do formulas within here for myself, and it does work just like it does in the desktop version. For people that are going to use the Excel Online app, Lindsay and I have noticed there are some nuances, some advanced formulas still have a little bit of a tough time, so you might have to play with that a little bit. But in general, most formulas will function all right for you.
Where do you change the name?
Right up here, put your mouse cursor right within this little area. It'll highlight the text for you, and you can start typing in a name for yourself. And as soon as you press enter, it'll save that new title name for you. Okay? Awesome Excel sheet. If you've used Office version 2007 or newer, you will be very familiar with how this web interface looks. If you haven't learned the new Office yet, this is your chance to learn how Office works now in the modern applications. It uses a tabbed file structure, right? So everything that you're looking for is not available in drop-down menus anymore. It's in different tabs. These are called the ribbons, as they officially call it. And if I swing between the different ribbons, which are tabs up here, I have different functions. And again, there are not as many functions as there are within the full Excel desktop version because they're still working on this and making it more powerful. But a lot of the basic stuff, about 80% of the features most people are looking for, are available. Different kinds of graphs. For example, in Excel, I can make charts and bar charts and pie charts and insert tables. I can make a survey out of this, which is something Excel desktop cannot do at all. And again, the Home tab has all of your basic formatting options where I can go ahead and I can format my items. I can go ahead and insert tables within here, alignment, the colors of my cells as such. So most of the power of Excel desktop is definitely available within here. Let's find a nice color that'll look nice here. Do a nice black there for ourselves. I can insert rows and columns and things. I can do auto sums. All the common functions and formulas are within here, and I've got my full list if I'd like as well. I can do find within here. I think you can just do Control F. Yeah, Control F brings up the find area, or you can click on the little binoculars to do a find on here. So if you're working with a little desktop Office, you should be fairly at home. This is not going to be a deer in headlight situation. You should get the hang of how this functions. As long as you know how to retitle your document and the fact that you don't have to save every 2 minutes, 5 minutes for yourself, you should be at home with this version of Office. Now, one nice thing I do like to show off in this copy of Office that is not in the desktop version is there's this thing called the Tell Me What You Want to Do bar. This is something that's only in Office Online, and it's very neat because if you're, especially for a newcomer or so, you're looking for a function that you don't know exactly where to get to it, or you don't know what ribbon tab has that function, what you can do is start typing in what you're looking to do. So say, for example, I want to insert a row within my spreadsheet, and I didn't know how to do it. Right? I'm a newcomer to Excel, it's just a little unfamiliar to me. If I start typing in insert in here, look what it came up with. Contextual search results that ask me and give me the options to insert cells, insert a pie chart, insert a bar chart, and it'll do this for any of the different functions within here. I can type in table. If I didn't know where to insert a table or format a table, I can insert table into there, and the Tell Me What You Want to Do bar finds that and knows what I'm looking to do. So it's fairly intelligent in that regard. And again, that's something that you don't have in desktop Office. And again, there's a trade-off since the online version doesn't do everything. The desktop version does. But as this gets more powerful and as the feature set starts to trump what the desktop version does, this is going to be very nice because all those advanced things like mail merge that even I have a hard time finding sometimes, we can go ahead and just type in right within there. And that works within any of the Office Online apps. So if I go into the Word Online and I make myself a document there, and as you saw, where was I just now? That awesome Excel sheet I just titled, there it is. It got saved in my OneDrive account. I didn't have to hit any save button. So saving does work, as I explained. Let's go into this Word document here. I'm going to edit it in Word Online. And just so everyone knows, I skipped over that a little bit quickly. If you're opening up a document that you already saved in OneDrive in the web browser version, and you just click on it to go into it, you might trying to type into it. You're like, why can't I type? Why can't I type? It's because it comes only up in view-only mode by default, if it's already a file that you've worked on or saved previously. So you'll see how it says here, this document was opened in read-only mode. All you have to do is click on Edit Document, and click on Edit in Word Online. It's that simple. Now I have my formatting options, my different ribbon toolbars are available up here. Now I know I can start working within my document and I can start typing within it. And the same thing exists, the Tell Me What You Want to Do area. So if I didn't know, for example, how to insert a comment into here, I can type in comment and it'll bring up show comments or new comment. And I can do that for any given function within here. Formatting. Bold, alignment, there we go. So Office Online teaches you how to use the product and find things that you may not know where they are. Yes, go ahead.
I asked the question, how do I close this document? And it didn't give me an answer how to do it.
Well, it's not that intelligent, right? So you can't necessarily ask an advanced question like that, but maybe if you typed in close. That bar, again, I want to put it in context of what it's meant to do. It's meant to show you how to do contextual functions within that Office Online app.
Right, within the app.
Within the app. It's not going to show you how to do things in OneDrive, how to increase storage space, how to close out perhaps. It's meant for functions within that Office app. So I want to make that clear.
How do I get out of it?
Go ahead, yes.
On Excel, there's no button to format cells.
Let's see, what does traditional Excel have?
If you right click in the cell, do you get it?
If you're on the Home tab within Excel, you should have your formatting options showing right up here for yourself. Let's see what you're saying.
Or you can just do this.
There's
OneDrive stays open.
you can format as a table.
Mhm.
If you want to close it, you can just do this.
You can insert cells and delete cells.
And if you right click on a cell, what options do you get?
Cut, copy, and
Okay. So you're probably going to you're going to be restricted to what you have available up here within the different items within the Home tab. So again, as I said, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of traditional Excel. There are going to be some limits you're going to run up against. So those are some of the nuances you're going to have to find out and be aware of as you're using this. Yes?
Okay, so since it's saving automatically and it's saved in this document,
Hmm?
how do I change the name? Do I have to close it and then rename it? Or or,
Now you get some.
cause you know normally you save as,
Yep.
but you can't do that, so,
So two ways we can save a document name. We can change the document name right within here for ourselves in the title bar,
If I.
or
that's cool.
like,
Or we can just rename it right within the OneDrive browser interface. So right click on it, we can do a rename within here. Two ways to rename it, there may be more ways.
Automatically,
Okay, that's cool.
automatically adjust
You
the
just click on it.
Okay, so-
column width.
So if you want to, if you typed in data here,
Okay, let's just say right here.
okay, go ahead, type in more data there.
Let's type it.
So you can make PowerPoints within here. PowerPoint's pretty nice because you can actually then work on a PowerPoint with other people. Again, how many people may use PowerPoint in here, I'm not sure, but definitely has most of the basic functions that you have within the full desktop app of PowerPoint.
You get
And I
this.
can
So,
rename that
if
for
you're using
myself.
this in an environment where you have several people online,
Alright.
Mhm.
And double.
they're all editing at the same
It
time,
will adjust.
are you
Okay,
just,
so that.
I mean, you can see what they're doing to
Okay,
the
there you
document,
go.
so you maybe have 3 or 4 people
You
and
don't
you're just seeing the
have
change
to
on there, or
stay
you're on the phone with them
automatic
doing this, like
format
what's
for
the?
You're seeing it in
how
person.
is
We're gonna actually
the
share a
world?
file between each other. I'm gonna share something out with everyone, and you're gonna see how it looks when you're working on it.
Yeah, so.
So we're gonna get to that next section of sharing. So we're almost to that.
The data is larger
Just a few
than the
minutes.
cell, and if you do that on the column, it'll adjust in this, it will be the size
That's
of
cool.
whatever the largest data bar is.
Right,
Okay, so if you had a 2-digit one here, then it would still stay big.
very good. Thank
So
you.
what do I search under, if I'm going to YouTube, I just search under OneDrive class, or what do I search under to find you?
On the back of our class, you can take a business card if you want, but on the back of this, there's our YouTube channel direct link.
Oh.
YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/FireLogic Tech.
On this one.
And then
All
so you
of our
just have
classes are up
all
there.
your classes that we can just look at.
Every class we've done since 2011 is up there.
And it's the
So
same
it's
thing.
about 45 videos large right now.
And then it's,
A lot of good weekend viewing. Version history. Some people asked about version history. How do I view version history, right? We can go ahead on any document that we have within our OneDrive. We can right-click on it within the browser interface and click on version history. When we click on it, it will go ahead and it will bring up the different revisions and different versions that I have. There is an option within the settings area with how granular you want to get in terms of your versions. By default, it only saves what it calls major revisions. You can go ahead and change it to where it saves granular revisions. And it'll save a lot more versions of your document. And that's within the settings area within OneDrive. You can get access to that. But by default, on this little Excel document I've been using, there are 2 revisions that I can go back to. I think it stores 30 revisions back for you. You can go back 30 different separate revisions for yourself. Could be more. That was the number that I remember from our last class. It might have gotten larger, but they're always increasing that number. So you can click on a version, you can see how it looked at that point in time, and you can either download that file as it stood, or you can go ahead and restore it. So my 2 revisions here are a blank document, or my Excel sheet with my goofy typing and formatting in green background. So that's revision history, and that works for any file that you place within OneDrive that changes. Doesn't have to even be just an Office document. It could be pictures that change. It could be, what else would be non-Office documents that may change, like a Notepad files that change, or like rich text documents that may change, PDF files. It'll store version history no matter what kind of file it is. So it will do that for you behind the scenes. Okay? All right. So let's go into sharing. I want to get into sharing because this is one of the neatest and most important aspects of OneDrive that sets it apart from using things just on your desktop. So how do I share something that I've made, right? We're not going to email an attachment on an email. We're going to get that out of our minds right now. What we're going to do is inside of our document, so let me close out some of the ones I have here. And actually, a good app to use for sharing example is Microsoft Word Online. So I'm going to use this as our example. And we're going to share actually with the class. So I'm going to share this document up here with everyone here in the class. And we're going to work on it together in just a moment here. Test Word file for class. Okay? That's what we'll call it. So if I want to share something, and again, as I said, there's multiple different ways to share. I can right-click on a file in the OneDrive browser view, and I can click on Share Here. Or I like to do it this way. I like to go into the document and I like to click on share over here, and now I have options for sharing this out with others. Okay? So at a glance it shows me on the left hand side who it's shared with, and by default it's only you, right? It's not shared unless you specifically share it, and that is always the case with OneDrive. You can have two options. You can invite people to a shared document via email directly within here. This will send out the email on your behalf. It'll include the rights for the sharing for that document as well. I would use this in situations where you know that other person has a OneDrive account or a Microsoft account already. Otherwise, they're going to be asked to make an account, and it's a little bit, fumbles the person up a little bit unless you explain it to them. So I only reserve this invite people email option for situations where I know that person has already a Microsoft account. Like for example, people in my company, we do this all the time, so I know they already have the proper account. I don't worry about that. But for people sharing with outsiders where they want them to be able to view it or work on it and they don't know if they have a Microsoft account, I like using the option that says get a link. Right, so if I use this get a link option, what it's going to do is it's going to make a web link that I can share in any plain old email from my Gmail account if I wanted to. I send it to the person, and they either have a view-only rights version of the file, or they have a version of the file, a link that they can use to access to edit the file as well. And I can make a version of the file that's only viewable to some people, but editable to others. That's pretty neat. Never been able to do that with an email file, right? We send it to someone in a Word document, and they can screw around with it and mess it up and do whatever they want. We really can't lock it down. Well, you can, but you have to know how to, assign rights to the file and all that. This makes that concept very easy. I choose get a link, and it asks me what kind of rights do I want to give. There are three options. I would not use the public option. The public option is one that will go ahead and publicly put this thing on search results on Google. Don't use the public option, okay? Unless you really want anyone in the world to be able to find the file. It follows the name that it sets to it. Public really means public. I would only, for all intents and purposes, only be using the edit or view only option. View only is just how it sounds. That person can view the file, but they have no rights to edit that file. And I'll show that off once we're done testing it out. I'm going to show you how the editing works. I'm going to lock it down to view only, and I'm going to show you how it looks then. You can view it, but you won't be able to touch anything with it. And I can change that on the fly immediately. So if I give out rights to a file and I say, Johnny can go ahead and edit that, but then I don't want him to be able to, I can turn that link into view only and change it so that he can't make changes. So we can give rights and take away rights on the fly as we go now, okay? Pretty neat. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna make an editing link here, and I'm gonna create this link. And I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to make an even shorter link. This is a little bit tough link. I'm going to make a shorter link that everyone can use to go on in their computer to get to this document so we can work on it together. Okay, this is going to be an example of how we would share a document to 10 people in a group. This can be done with one person, 10 people, 20 people, it doesn't really matter. So let me make a little shorter link for everyone that they can get to. We're going to make a tiny URL out of this, and we're going to have a little fun here. We're gonna do Niles October 18. Okay. So what I want everyone to do is, and I'll walk around and help everyone do this, is we're gonna go to this link over here that I have up on the screen. So open up you have your web browser open already. Open up a new tab for yourself. Okay, does everyone know how to open a new tab in Firefox? Control T does it, or you can just go ahead and hit the little plus sign to the right of so you can go right up here, the little plus sign that's right there. And then you just type in this address that I have up on the screen here. And as soon as you get to it, you're going to be in an editing version of this OneDrive document we're working on. And we're going to be in the same document together, and I'm going to show you what's happening as we start working on it. Because this is where the real power of OneDrive comes in. These are the bells and whistles I was talking about. Is it working okay? Yeah. Okay. So let's watch as people start entering our document here. Oh, let me keep the thing up on the screen here.
Okay. So if you get unable to connect, we just have to shut down filtering. Unfortunately.
Oh, is the filtering message coming up?
Yeah, the filter message is coming up.
Okay.
So.
Says unable to connect.
Right, we'll be right
Yep.
back.
Oh.
I think
We have to.
You guys say anything? Yeah, Ruth is gonna come around, she's gonna shut off the filter just 1 second.
We allow children to work in this room, and we filter computers for children at Niles. And so.
We're doing it for the kids,
We
so
are.
bear with us.
That's the only reason we do this. Otherwise, we would not, we don't filter adult computers. Oops. You're not quite there yet. You typed yours in the
Okay,
search
I'm
bar.
gonna leave this up on the
Right.
screen, I'm gonna
So you wanna
bring this
type it up here in the address
Oh,
bar.
and,
So
oh, and
what
the
you
address
would be
bar,
doing
okay.
normally though, like, if you were sending it by email, you would just attach the link.
If I was sending it by email, I would take that link that it gave me, this link over here, and I would just copy and paste it into an email for message. Hey, Jack, here's the document that I want to share with you so we can work on it. Here's the link for you to get into it. And they will then have access into the same kind of window like we do over here. And as soon as people start getting into it, we should start seeing,
So even if they don't have OneDrive, it'll just open up because of,
yes, because it's an editing link that is accessible to anyone with that link.
as long as they have.
So that's why I like that, because you don't have to force someone to make a OneDrive account. You can just give it to any coworker, and it makes it easy for them. That's why I like it. It's
Okay,
easy.
so we're going to.
So let's see. No one's in there just yet, unless they are, and I don't see it.
Oh,
I'm
it's
in
gotta be
here.
tiny.
I'm in
Here
here.
I am.
You're in it ready?
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
These guys are coming out.
Okay, so as soon as you're in there, now let's go ahead. We're going to click on Edit Document. We're going to edit it in Word Online.
Oh, is that why?
That's why it's not.
I don't have a thing online.
There, now, just.
And you
type
should be able to make changes to the same document with me.
dash 18. Hit the enter.
Huh?
Hit your
So
enter
we're just
key.
looking to continue here.
You're gonna go there.
Can, if I'm in the desktop now, the document here, can I
Are
do
you
that
guys doing
still?
this?
Yes,
Just go.
you can. You can. I showed off a little bit earlier the upload button within the OneDrive web interface, or if you install the desktop app version, you can just do a drag and drop into the OneDrive app. There's 2 ways you can upload files into it. So let's see who's editing the, accessing the documentary. We should have some people in already. Oh, there we go. 4 people entered the document. So there it goes. On the upper right hand side, it shows how many other people are working at the same time. And as we can see, if you're curious how that looks, you should see the same thing I'm seeing, which is who is working within there.
Yeah, and it's labeled.
And it's labeled.
Get the little pictures. Here we go.
And you should be seeing the changes as they're being made. I mean, this is as real time as it gets in terms of working with others. Does anyone still need the link up on the screen? If you need the link, just tell me. I'll pop it back up on the screen here. But so we are all working together
Question.
in this document right now.
No, I don't have the,
Oh, you don't have the menu because you're in the, you haven't chosen to edit the document yet. Remember how he showed you that? You are in the blank document. It looks like there's nothing there.
right?
And so you have to click on.
So how
edit
this
the
works is
document.
it goes ahead, and of course this could get a little bit sloppy the more people you have in, right? 10 people's manageable. Once you start getting to 20 or 30 people at a time, it becomes a little messy. So keep that in
So
mind
you
when
have
you're
to
doing
click on
this.
edit.
But you can do it if you want to.
Same with
What's
the-
going on here is that as we're working on this document, the Office Online app is locking a small section of where you're working, right? So if you're working on a particular sentence, that section's being locked for you only. Until you're done with it and you move your cursor away, then it's unlocked and someone else can get into it.
Because
Now
he asked
you're
me
the
to.
function.
So this is very useful for
Because I had done
co-opted research reports you're doing. I've used this for college classes in the past, working with other people. Very powerful for working in situations where we don't want to share or copy the file with flash drives or across email. Get everyone in the document, have them work on the same thing, so you can see what's being changed, you can see where the document stands, and you guys can work on it in a collaborative manner, right? Collaboration in real time. That's what this is all about, and OneDrive lets that happen. So we've got 6 other people on top of myself, because we have 7 people in there. We got a few missing. Who's missing? 8 people. Let's see if everyone's in. Editing, good.
I'm getting.
Lindsay's not in. All right, looks like everyone's there, yeah. So again, everyone is attached a different color on their cursor, and they can see. So there we are. And even if I closed out and I went in 2 hours later and you were still working on it, I'd be let back in and I would see all the changes that were made. I'll go ahead and do it right now. So even if though I was the one that made the document, it doesn't matter. You have the rights to work on it. So I can close out of here. I came back a day later to see what everyone had done in our great document. Let's take a look and see where it stands. And I will have the latest version of wherever that document was at that current time. So again, instead of emailing this out or keeping copies on flash drives, put it in OneDrive, share it out like this with a link to other people, have them work on it, and we never have to worry about who has the master version. We all have the master version. That's what I say. So, yes.
Is there an ability to, okay, like when I'm just looking at this, okay, it just looks like all one color, right? I mean, even
Sure.
though there's the little flag.
Sure.
But how do you know, like, what's been edited? Like, let's say you come back a day later. Like, can you tell what's been edited?
I believe there is a way to go ahead and show the changes. You mean show the show history, track changes option?
Well, yeah, you know, like if you're like looking at a legal document, it'll be red line or blue line. You can see what's different.
I believe there is a way to do the track changes within here. I have not used that function just yet, so I couldn't tell you where that function is, but I presume it does exist within here. So actually, let's ask Word where it may be. Track. Maybe they don't have track changes in the web version just yet. In a situation like this, though, I mean, that's where if it doesn't have the track changes, we could use the revision history option as well to go back and see the preview of where the document stood at various points in time. I mean, let me go and do that right now. I'll go right-click, version history, and there we go. We've already created, what, 5 different versions of the document. There are probably more being made behind the scenes. So. So you can poke around a little bit and see if it is in there. I haven't used it yet. I don't know if it does exist in there. But like I said, the fallback is the version history where I can just preview where that document stood at a point in time and restore it. So again, not as powerful as track changes because again, you can see who did what and who made what changes. So that might be something that they're still building into this version for ourselves.
How did you get into the previous version?
Oh, I went into my main OneDrive area. And I right-click on the document that I'm looking for, and I do version history. And that will let me see this nice list of all the different versions that exist for that document. Okay?
Do you know who did the change?
Well, that's what she was actually asking right now. The track changes feature, I can't find it, or it may not exist in this version just yet, so it may not be available within there just yet. So you can call that one drawback of the online version of the program. I've used this functionality in group classes in college of 4 or 5 people. That limitation has never really caused us much issue. So it all depends on your situation and what you're working on. And this can be done with any kind of document, right? We're doing Microsoft Word since it's easy and it's easy to show a demo of this, but you can do this with PowerPoint. I've done class PowerPoints that we've prepared for classes like this, and I've worked on the presentation with some of my colleagues. We've edited them all online together at the same time, so I've done it with PowerPoint. You can do it with Microsoft OneNote. Any of these different options that you have up here, the core 4 common Office online apps for yourself. All of them have the sharing capability built right into them. And all of them have the real-time aspect as this does. Excel does, PowerPoint does, and I know OneNote does as well, yes. So you can work on that sharing in real time. If I wanted to take that sharing aspect away, so say for example, wow, you guys were destroying my document, I really didn't want this to be shared out in this manner, I can go back into my sharing area, and I can go in, and I can change it where individual people will have sharing rights taken away. So all the people that are listed over here have access at the current time. Okay, but I can take that sharing access away for all these individuals. Click on their name, stop sharing. Once I do that, they will lose access into the document. Okay, so I can take that access.
So only you can do that?
Only I can do it. I'm in control of sharing. The person that shared out the document has that right. Okay? Okay. And of course now, since I shared that out, now if I go into my shared area within OneDrive, I'll have an option or I'll have a feature that shows me exactly what was shared out and the fact that that was shared with other people. So I can quickly see that that was the one document that's being shared, and if I click on it, it'll take me in the document, and then I can go ahead and see what sharing is attached to that. But again, very easy way. If you're concerned about what is shared at any given time, either shared with you by other people or that you've shared out to others, you can use this little sharing junction or sharing, control panel for yourself. And this will show you everything that's going on in terms of inbound sharing to you or outbound sharing that you've done with other individuals. Okay, if I go to my recent docs, it'll have my test Word file for class showing. Since we were just working on that, it'll show who worked on it last. So it gives you some detail in terms of who was working on that at what time in terms of the last person. Okay. So we got about 15 minutes here. I still want to have some time for questions. I want to show off, see if I can get to Excel survey. I want to show off OneDrive Mobile. I know a lot of people are probably interested in the mobile aspect of it. So I'm going to bring up my mobile phone on the screen here really quick for us. Okay. All right. So I got a little app on here that's showing my Windows phone right now. Okay, so I have OneDrive installed on my mobile phone. It's connected into my personal OneDrive account. Okay, so if I go into it, and again, just a different interface on your phone if you have an Android or iPhone, but the app itself is going to work in a similar manner. If I go into it, I went into OneNote. I want to go into OneDrive. It's a different icon. There it is, OneDrive.
So what's the difference if you log in? Like, okay, if I go onto the web and I'm there versus using the app?
The app is just a little more seamless experience, right?
Because you're already
The web browser is kind of clumsy on a mobile device. It's hard to type in, but the app makes it really easy to stay signed into it, and it makes everything larger. It's a touch-enhanced experience. That's it. It'll work in a similar manner. The web version might have a little few more bells and whistles because the apps are sometimes a little behind from the web version, but again, it just enhances it so you can quickly get into it for yourself on the mobile device. It's made for mobile first, I'll say it that way. It's made to be used on a mobile device, where the web browser version is made for in front of a regular computer. I guess that's how I'll describe it. Okay, so this is my personal OneDrive account connected to here. It's the same things that we were seeing on my computer. If I go into my folder for the OneDrive class, which is where all the documents that I made for this class are sitting, I can go into my agenda document, and I can work on it right within here for myself. So I can go ahead and I can go into editing mode, and I can start adding things to the agenda. Now again, it's a mobile screen. It's not going to be as full-featured, as a regular screen, but if I need mobile access on the go, this is especially useful for things like, getting your shopping list on the go, or making a to-do, like a notes list, or a to-do task list for yourself that you want to store in OneDrive and access on your computer and also on the go. There are all kinds of scenarios you can think of for where this might be useful, when you're on the go. So I have access to my full OneDrive account right here. All my pictures load right into there. I can make new files right within here for myself. If I click on plus, I can go ahead and I can make files within the app. So again, very neat, and allows me to have all that same aspect of things that I do within the web interface. So that's the Windows Phone version. The iOS, the iPhone, the iPad has a version. Android tablets have a version. Even the Xbox has a version. So there's no reason you can't use this across all of your different devices.
Is it automatically on my phone, or do I?
It's not automatically on your phone. You'll have to go into the store for whatever phone manufacturer you have. What kind of phone do you have?
Samsung, Verizon?
Samsung, Verizon. Is it an Android phone? Do you know? Google phone? Can you pull the phone up just so I can see the front of the phone, just to see how it looks? Oh, it's a relatively. It should be like an Android phone. In that case, you probably have access to the Google Play Store, and Google Play Store has the OneDrive app within it. Ruth can probably show you really quickly where that app is available for you. Okay. All right. So that's that. That's the mobile experience. And then really quickly, I want to show everyone what the Excel survey is all about. I know I usually spend a little more time on Excel survey since it's something that only the OneDrive web interface has access to. I kind of cut it out as I knew we were going to run a little short on time. But again, if you want to make an Excel survey, you can go on the OneDrive web interface, click on Create, Excel Survey. And I actually had a previous survey. Actually, I just showed the survey off from my other class, the previous OneDrive class we did. I have a survey over here. Where is it? Let's see. Android. No, it was the OneDrive class. And I actually made a survey over here in our last class. And we actually were taking people's questions in the survey on the go as class was going on. So hopefully the internet will let me pull this up here really quick. It's a special version of Excel that, again, lets us make questions on an Excel document within the web browser and collect feedback or information from others. I've talked to realtors that use this to collect information from people they're working with.
Does everybody have to have a OneDrive account?
No. No, you can use that share a link option to give this out to anyone that you want to. So here is how the back end looks on this one that I made. I made an Excel survey about asking people about how their experience was in our last class. And actually I'll show you how the web version looks. So this is how it looks in a web browser. I called it Welcome to Our Class, OneDrive Deep Dive. I made a few questions on here. How was your drive here? And people were putting in, where do you reside? What is the one thing you wanted to learn in the class? And as that was coming in, I was seeing the responses here. And here's all the responses I was getting. Decent, Noblesville, someone came from Lincolnwood, Des Plaines, we had a few people from different places. So I was collecting information in an easy format, and I can now use it in Excel, and I can format it and export it and work with it and analyze the results that I'm getting. So again, you might have a use for it, you may not. There are a lot of different use cases for doing an Excel survey, right? And it's called an Excel survey, but it could be considered more like a form, right? A data collection form. Give me some information on what you'd like me to do, what you like to see as your realtor. Provide me some information, what kind of wedding venue would you like to have, for our upcoming wedding? What kind of food would you like at the wedding? What kind of, I've done an example of people using this for family reunions, collecting information on RSVPs of who's going to be attending a family reunion. Unlimited use case scenarios, you can probably find something that you'd be able to use it with. But again, instead of paying someone like SurveyMonkey, right, to go ahead and make surveys for customers or situations like that, Excel survey does pretty much the same thing in a completely free format. And the nice part is you can export this as a local Excel file or work on it as an Excel file within the web browser, and it's at your fingertips, and you can collect all that data for yourself. So very nifty. Again, I wish I gave it a little more justice today in class, but that's in essence, you can play around with Excel survey and see how that works for yourself. Okay? So it's about 11:50. That's all I have in terms of content. I want to open the floor to any questions that anyone has. Anything about anything I covered or anything I may not have covered regarding OneDrive. I think I covered as much as I could, but if there's anything else, please do let me know. We'll leave a few moments open, and then we'll cut off the recording so Lindsay can go ahead and draw a raffle for our one gift bag winner for the day. If you haven't put your raffle ticket in, make sure you get it back to Lindsay, as she'll be drawing in just a few minutes. So what does everyone think? Pretty neat? OneDrive pretty cool? Free version of Office, 15 gigs free. I mean, I don't think there's anything you can complain about aside from some functional nuances that are within the web apps. But other than that, this is where the future of Office is going to be. The desktop versions of Office are going to be dying out over the next 10, 15 years, and this is what's probably going to be taking over in the next decade or so. So get familiar with it, as we're going to be using this more and more commonly as time goes forward. Pretty neat?
Nice.
Cool. Any questions? No questions at all? I did a good job then. Go ahead, Ruth.
I was just going to mention that I have a schedule that I'll give to everyone for upcoming technology classes that are going to be held mostly in this room. There will be a session on using the Word web app, and we will also have a section on Excel. I don't know that many of you actually need the training for Excel or Word, but if you do, there will be a session on using both of them this month and next month as well, I believe.
And those are on the web app. So those are the versions we were showing here.
Yeah,
They're not the
that's-
desktop version, they're the
No,
web
I'm not gonna
version.
do
So
the
everyone
desktop
knows
version.
what we're doing.
That being the fact that here at Niles right now, what we're using is Windows 2000. We're using Office 2007, and I've had a lot of people come in asking for more advanced.
Yeah.
And so since I don't have that, I thought I would use the more commonly available
Yeah.
to everyone. So we have that, and we will also be having, what was it? Oh, you mentioned but when it comes to the big deal, Excel mail merge, I'm actually doing a class on that in
Oh,
November.
there you go. There you go. Let's come mail merge. You can't do mail merge in the web version just yet. It'll be there at some point.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
But the survey is very handy. You can reach out and get responses,
Mhm.
and it's the only way to really make a super easy survey, especially in
Super
Excel.
easy. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than
You
that.
just fill in the blanks, and
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. And remember, we're going to be doing our Windows 8.1 class in late November, right around the holiday purchasing season. So if you're interested, that class always fills up. I recommend you get a seat early if you want to be there for the live class.
That'll be
Bring
fun.
your Windows device with you.
Right.
Perfect, because I go ahead, I demo all of the things about Windows, the start screen interface and all that, and you can follow along with me as I do that up on the screen, because it's very new to a lot of people. They don't understand it as well as some of the older Windows functions, but by the time you leave there, everyone's a semi-expert on how to use it. So it's a good class. Very
That will be
enjoyable.
the last Saturday in November.
Last Saturday in November, that's right. I saw a hand raised. Does someone have a question about something? Yes.
Now, we have XP on our computer.
Okay.
How is the best way to upgrade that?
Well, as I was telling your colleague over here, most XP machines are not in a position to be upgraded. Most XP machines are on a basis of needing to be replaced. There are some situations where you can upgrade them. I'm actually working on one in the office right now, but they are very far and few in between. It has to be a very a machine that was purchased on the end of the lifespan for Windows XP when it was out for sale, have good internals, good horsepower, and at that point, if that kind of determination is made, then you can upgrade that machine. But for most people, 80+%, I tell them getting a new system with new internals is a better bet. Money better spent. It's the honest truth, okay?
Okay.
If you want help making that determination, you can call us. I help customers make that decision all the time, okay?
I have two computers.
Sure.
One is XP.
Okay.
I want a new one, an 8.1. Should I delete XP from that other computer? I don't use it for the.
If you don't use it, that machine can be recycled, wiped and recycled at that point, right? Unless you plan on using it for the future and putting something else on it, it's probably a matter of wiping it away and just recycling it properly.
I just use it for games.
Okay?
Should I get rid of XP? Is that on that computer?
If it's only for games, I mean, some people are going to say you can keep it and just use it for games and not plug it into the internet,
Yeah, I don't plug it into the internet.
Okay, if it sits off the internet, I mean, that's a case where potentially, yes, it can be okay left alone, and maybe you can just let it live its life until it dies out, as is. But most other situations where people are doing anything like email accounts or banking or web browsing on an XP computer, I say that's not a good scenario. You shouldn't be doing that. In your situation, I'm going to say you have an exception. You can let that thing live a little bit longer.
Yeah, I just
So
use it.
it should be fine. Should be fine. It's not on the internet. It's just playing games.
It won't affect.
It won't affect anything else. As long as it's not plugged into that home network, it's not talking anything. It's a silo. So, anything else? If that's it, I'm going to cut the recording off. We'll have Lindsay draw for the gift bag winner. For our gift bag, all we have is we're running out of swag almost. We've done so many classes this year, but we got a water bottle from one of our sponsors, a few other tchotchkes, and then we have a 20% off coupon for a service from us. As that's the only place we give that kind of a big discount away. So in that way, it's pretty neat. Okay. So I'm going to cut off the recording. If there's any other questions anyone has, feel free to stop me before you leave, and I can definitely answer that for you off recording. But other than that, let's have Lindsay see who will take the grab bag home. Hold on one second, Lindsay.